Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Game Design Archive with Edvard and Ludwig. I'm Ludwig, and as always, I'm here with Edvard. Hello, Edvard.
Hello.
Today, we're gonna talk about a topic suggested by one of our viewers, DL or 1C, if that's correct, I don't know.
Tell us in the comments
and that is
how you pronounce your name. Yeah.
And that is the social atmosphere around gaming.
Oof.
Very unclear what we mean, perhaps, but listen closely and you'll get it in a moment. Go ahead, Edward.
Yeah. So this will be a broad topic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We'll touch on a bunch of different aspects around like. So I guess like around the social aspect, right? Not necessarily the game aspect.
Yeah, and like in specific the social aspect like around games, not like in games.
Yeah, so not social games or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like what social discussions do to game design, I guess, or whatever, right? Yeah. So
gaming discourse, you could say.
Gaming discourse, yeah. So where do we want to start, by the way? Do we want to start with the hype?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I guess one aspect of it is the hype cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, well, I think most of our viewers know what the hype cycle is, but I guess I'll do a brief description, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the gaming companies, I guess, hype up their games, and then the discourse online also hypes up the game, and then the games come out, and they're either good or bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they will sell more or less depending on, well, if they're good, I guess, but also the hype.
Yeah.
Right. Or do you disagree?
Yeah.
Yeah, you disagree.
I actually.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I don't. I don't disagree. Sorry. No, I was gonna actually bring up an example that I think is pretty funny.
Go ahead.
And that is Battlefield. Now I used to play a lot of Battlefield back in the day when I was a casual gamer, like up until Battlefield 4. And then, like, after that, Battlefield games became progressively worse and worse until they were, like, literal dog shit. You know, like, the Battlefront games and Battlefield 5 and so on.
I mean, there are worse games, but yeah, they're not
yes,
very good.
They are really bad, though, the newer ones. And what I found really interesting was, you know, when Battlefield 2042 was revealed, there was massive hype around that game, right? Because Battlefield 5 had been pretty poorly received, which, you know, the reason for that is because like half of DICE left when Battlefield 5 was made, right?
Yeah.
So none of the people who were actually making the old games were left at the company, so there were new people making the games.
But then again, looking at what the old people is doing now, I would argue maybe they left a good half.
Yes. Didn't we discuss this last week that the designers probably didn't follow on?
Yeah, maybe the technical people did. Maybe Embark for those that don't know is like
ex-Battlefield devs.
Yeah, ex-Battlefield devs. Yeah.
But yeah, so Battlefield 2042 came out, and there was a lot of hype around Battlefield 2042 because they were doing like these epic Battlefield moments trailers or whatever they call them. And people were like, oh yeah, Battlefield is back now. Battlefield 5 was like a slight misstep, and 2042 is gonna be just like Battlefield 4 or whatever, because everyone loved Battlefield 4. And then it came out, and it was like the worst Battlefield game by far ever. Probably not worse than Battlefront 2. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I completely ignored that game, so I don't know.
Yeah, I did play that like a year or two after it released, and that's like one of the worst games I've ever played in my life.
Yeah, that was like I am ignoring all the games phase or whatever, so I was not following any of that at that time.
Yeah. Anyway, my point is that, you know, Battlefield 6 released, was it last year? It's not this year, right? Yeah. And I haven't played it, and I haven't played 2042 either for that matter. But like, what I found very interesting was that when Battlefield 6 was released, I saw the same thing all over again. Like, people were saying like, oh yeah, Battlefield is back, Battlefield 6 is gonna like restore Battlefield's reputation, it's gonna be the best Battlefield game ever, and so on and so on. And like, from my understanding, when it released, it got a pretty good, pretty decent reception.
Yeah.
But then, like, after the fact, people have gone like, oh wait, this wasn't actually that good.
Well, they showed some stuff as well, right?
Yeah, they did. They're like, yeah, because it's a live service, right? So they keep adding weird shit. But anyways, my point is not whether Battlefield 6 is good or bad. What I find interesting is that, you know, people never learn, I guess. Right?
But the thing is, I don't have numbers on the older games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there is similar drop-offs, right? If we're talking like hype versus... Obviously, I think the older Battlefield games are better than the new ones.
Yeah.
But in terms of just general, you know, everyone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was probably similar fall-off, right? In terms of players after like a month.
Yeah, but it's not just fall-off, it's like critical reception as well.
Yeah, I guess.
Because like Battlefield 4 is still like seen as one of the better Battlefield games, right? Which like Battlefield 2042 is not, and I think people have kind of realized that about Battlefield 6 as well.
Yeah, I think it sort of makes sense with 6 because people like it's not. It seems to me, at least, because I didn't play that one.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me like it's a step in the right direction, right? Which makes people excited.
That's a good point,
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just not enough for me, I guess. And also there was a bunch of other stuff like the kernel level anti-cheat and stuff. And
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You had to like have a weird PC and stuff. I think that affects.
Yeah.
I mean, on PC.
Secure boot and stuff like that.
Secure boot,
yeah.
And I think that affects like player counts as well, right? Probably.
Yes. But there was another interesting point about this that I just forgot when I started talking. Wait, give me a second.
Yeah, I have another point.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we mentioned last week the Destiny thing, right? It's at the end of the last week's episode when we talked about multiplayer games, where there is this I don't know if it's infamous, but to me it's infamous talk of this Destiny. I don't know what he was actually, like probably a business person, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry for not knowing your title, Mr. Destiny guy. It was a GDC talk. You can Google it. You can find it. I don't remember. Which like it's funny, like in relation to hype, because what he was basically saying in that talk is that the how should I say this? Like, well, he said that the goal is to make the game a train station, not a train, right? So basically not playing into the hype cycle, I guess, right? In a way. Like, because if you just build like trust over time, like you don't even I'm paraphrasing obviously, but what it felt like to me he was saying was basically you don't even need to make the game good, you just make sure that people like you, and over time people will be attracted to your game, right? If it's a live service game, right? And that is interesting considering we've seen like a lot of games that have failed recently, right? Where it's like they're doing this silly thing where they spend insane amounts of money trying to hype up the game, and then they don't get the launch numbers the launch numbers? Yeah. Sorry, there was a thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, did you want to say something?
No, there was like a thing on the computer. Well, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say it's very interesting because if you look at like almost all of the successful live service games, like let's think of a few examples. Like Fortnite was really, really poorly received when that released, right? Because it wasn't even the Battle Royale that's known today, right? If you look at something like Rainbow Six Siege, right? That was like a total fuck up on release, and then they like fixed the game a bit, and then they completely ruined it again after the fact. But like they still like the player count went up and then down again. But what more do we have? We have like Destiny is another good example, right? Because you were talking about Destiny.
Yeah.
They like I think they were commercial successes when they released, but like their player counts weren't that good after the fact,
Yeah.
until they like started updating it and doing like really really big live service stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite examples are name of video game, Space. Space. What is it called? Oh, come on. Very popular, or like very hyped up game, Planets. There was like planets and stuff.
Oh, No Man's Sky. Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
That's like one of my favorite examples, because people genuinely say that it's good these days, and that was very, very, very hated. All right, when it came out, right? People were super mad at them.
Yeah.
Same with like Cyberpunk and stuff, right?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
a good point.
They just patched it, and it's good now. It's like, well, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna. I haven't played it, so I don't know. But maybe, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
It's also interesting because it's like going, like, playing into the, we discussed like sales and stuff a few weeks ago, right? Where it's like, okay, you could buy into the hype right now, or you could like wait 2 years and the game is gonna be good, and I mean, according to other people at least, right? Good, and it's gonna cost less. And you get the complete game. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's very interesting, because like obviously a lot of like game studios and publishers and stuff are trying to do live service games, but it seems like almost all of them, as you said before, they go big and like hope to get a really good launch. And like, I can't come up with a single example of a live service game, like a successful live service game that had like a flawless release. And it's very funny to see games like, Concord, or what's it called, the recent one, High Guard?
I don't know.
Where it's like they pumped a bunch of money into it, and then like it flops on release, and like obviously they've run out of money, so they can't do anything about it, but like they should have planned, ahead a bit, and like tried at least for longer than a month, but both of those games shut down after a month.
I mean, there's less bad cases, but those actually seem super irresponsible, right? Where it's like they just gambled on their like entire team and everything, right? On some those feel like super mismanaged to me. But I mean, I get that there's other ones where it's like, okay, look, it's not working or whatever, right? I mean, they run out of money. Like, they tried to get enough players to pay for their stuff, but they couldn't get there or whatever, right? So there's different levels of that, I guess,
this is actually interestingly enough, this is sort of related to the point that I was thinking about before that I forgot. And that is like, going back to the social thing, people seem to have something against playing old games, like especially multiplayer games.
Yes.
And the reason this ties into live service stuff is I think that like updating your game as a developer is really important for the player count to stay for some reason. Because, going back to Battlefield, that's the reason why I thought of that from the start. People keep saying that Battlefield 4 or like Battlefield Bad Company 2 is the best Battlefield out there. And when DICE releases a new Battlefield game and it's worse than Battlefield 4 or Bad Company 2, they go, wow, this is so bad. Or like, wow, this is way worse than Battlefield 4 or whatever. But they still play that instead of Battlefield 4. Which I find very interesting. Because if I was like, oh yeah, Battlefield 4 is so much better than Battlefield 6, I would not play Battlefield 6 instead of Battlefield 4. I would play Battlefield 4.
For sure.
And I feel like this ties into this live service thing as well, because it's very obvious that people don't want to play games that are being actively updated or worked on.
They want to, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, did I say the opposite?
I mean, no, you didn't, just clarify.
Yeah. Because it's very interesting, because like, oftentimes when you see multiplayer games that aren't like actively updated a lot, you'll see like in Steam reviews or discussions or on Discords or whatever, you will see people say, oh, this game is abandoned, blah 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 blah. But like, they will say that even if it's like a complete finished game, which I find very interesting. Because usually when game developers keep continuously updating games for an eternity, they become actively worse with time.
They become garbage.
I mean,
so we have
find that
discussed
very
it
interesting
before, right? Where the way to mitigate it a bit. I mean, if if you are not, how to say this, if you're not I'm trying to say this in a nice way. If you're not one of the people that only care about the latest fad or whatever, right? And you want to play let's say it's Bad Company you want to play, right? The way to do that is like we've discussed in other episodes, where it's like you need to build like a community around it, right? Yeah. That's the way to keep smaller games alive, right? And sort of, I guess that's sort of like that's my opinion, right? At least of how to do it, because like if you care about the game, then this, player retention, I don't know what to call it. What do we call it? Like the high player. I guess it's in the, like you're saying, you're patching it. What would you call that? Like it's in the, like people are talking about it. What would you call that? Right?
Oh, I get what you mean. I don't know, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, it was like if you want to play games, I don't know how to say this. Like if you, let's say you wanted to play, I mean, Bad Company might be a bit more on the casual side, which is fine, but still, like if you care a lot about that, then you need to find a way to like keep that alive or whatever, right? Maybe this is a bad example, right? But I think you get what I'm saying, right? Where it's like you can't just chase the next. I mean, you can, I guess, if you want to, but it seems a bit uninteresting to me to just chase the biggest game all the time and whatever, right? It's sort of this. Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I think that's sort of the reason why things are as they are, because like people don't actually care that the game they're playing is good, or well, they do, but like people care a lot about playing the like new big hyped thing, and so it doesn't like. So they will recognize that like Battlefield 6 is worse than Bad Company 2 or whatever. But they are not actually interested in playing Bad Company 2. They are interested in playing the latest thing. But are mad that it's not as good as the old latest thing, if that makes sense.
But it is interesting, right? Because this is actually just a perception, right? Because if they were not, sorry, I need to clarify. What I mean is like if they were not online reading about the games and they just joined a server in Battlefield 6 versus joined a server in Bad Company, there would be no difference, right, for them as a player, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming, I haven't checked, right? Well, but I think Bad Company is, alive enough to where there is.
Didn't like EA do some stuff with
the
servers?
Sorry, maybe
that's, like,
EA is
actually
assholes.
unplayable.
Yeah, maybe that's actually unplayable.
So
the point is,
if
the game is alive and there is players, right?
Yeah.
Then there is no, like, if you're not online and looking up stuff, then there is no difference, right? Like, if you're not reading up about what other people are saying about the game, then there is no difference between playing a game where there's, 1,000 players versus like 1,000,000 players or whatever, right? Because you're gonna get the same experience. In fact, you will probably have a better experience with less players because, like stuff we've talked about in the past, where it's like, oh, maybe you'll join the same server and know the people and stuff. Now, obviously, I understand that this stuff does matter in some sense, right? This stuff around, like the discussion stuff, right? Because, like, I don't know, humans are social and stuff, right? And they want to talk about stuff they like.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to me that it's like the balance for me is weird, right? Where it's like the discussion around games is like it's so heavily skewed in that direction, right? Where that's what matters almost only, right? Like the game is almost not. I mean, you get what I'm saying, right? Where it's like this it's a discussion about is this game good, and if it's good then everybody's supposed to say that it's good, and everything is great, and we're just gonna talk about how much of a great time we have or whatever, right? Or am I being a bit
No, I
exaggerating a bit maybe?
No, it's very, that's actually interesting because like obviously like well, as you said, when a game comes out there's like a lot of discourse and whatever. And you know, yeah, like the general public decides, is this a good game or a bad game?
Yeah.
And
then you can't disagree with that. And that's
yeah,
decided.
well,
and then sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so for a while that's true, but then like after a while you'll see like YouTube video essays of people being like, wait, this game was actually bad if people said it was good, or this game is actually good if people said it was bad.
I mean, it was probably people saying it was bad to begin with. They were like muted by the noise or whatever.
Yes, exactly. And like, yeah, I guess that's sort of the point I wanted to make with what I just said. It's like around the release of a game, it's like very what do you want to call it? Like not emotional, but like it's very like, if people say it's a good game and you say it's a bad game, then people will say you're stupid or whatever. But like if you wait like half a year to a year and wait for the hype to die down, like if you say the same thing, like, oh, this game is actually bad or this game is actually good, then people are like way more receptive of that. So there's almost like a cult thing going on, like around the release of a game.
I mean, like, not to be like, this is sort of a thing you'll see in a lot of things, right? So I'm not, I don't think, like, I don't find this phenomenon or whatever you want to call it that strange, right? Because it's that is sort of a common thing, right? In general, where it's like you're hyped about the latest iPhone, and then you know what or whatever, right? And then you stand in line together with people that are all hyped about the new iPhone, even though it's literally the same as the last or whatever, right? So I get it. Although in that case, I would argue it's more. I don't know. I don't know if I want to call it irresponsible, but you know, they're kind of expensive and they're literally the same thing. We're not reviewing iPhones.
Maybe we should.
Yeah. No, I don't want to buy one. They're expensive.
True.
So yeah, games are obviously cheaper. So I get that part of it, right? I'm just, for me, as someone that, you know, I'm not playing games for this hype cycle or for the like social part of like belonging and to like this group of people that's, you know, whatever, right? I'm playing games because I actually enjoy games. I guess it's similar to like band stuff, right? Where it's like some people go to concerts of a particular, what do you call them in English?
A band?
Yeah, a band or whatever that's popular, right? Because because not for the social part, right? Whereas some people go for like the music. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like because they like the band, and some people go because they like being with the people and talk about the thing, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's actually that's actually a pretty good comparison, because like you know, I listen to a lot of music and I go to concerts every now and then. But I absolutely and I enjoy going on concerts, right? And as you say, I go to concerts for the music, not for the social part of it. And like I can't stand festivals at all. Like I've been to festivals before and they are absolutely miserable and I hate them. Like music festivals. But it seems like, you know, the general public absolutely loves music festivals, because it's like this massive social thing where there's a bunch of artists and everybody's hanging out and it's like a big party and whatever. So I think... What?
Do you call them artists in English? Maybe you do. I don't know. I don't know English.
Musicians or whatever.
Yeah.
I
don't
so
know.
Yeah,
maybe you do.
It's
English people tell us.
Yes. But yeah, so it's kind of like that. the same thing with video games, right?
Yes.
It's like big hyped releases, they're like music festivals where like the point isn't necessarily going and listening to your favorite artist. It's more like hang out and like do drugs and drink or whatever people do on festivals. Whereas, you know, going to like a small concert from some indie musician or whatever, that's like way more, I'm there for the music.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's people who probably go for the music in festivals and then the other way around too. But like in general, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess we didn't really have a point with this more than talk like this specific thing, right? More than just bringing it up, right? I guess because like I'm not seeing it necessarily as strange at all, right? Considering everything else, I guess I could express frustration or something over it, right? Because it makes my life harder to figure out what's good and bad or whatever, right? But it's not that big of a deal, I guess.
Yeah, because I guess the point is that it like I guess that the discussions around games being good or bad don't really have anything to do with the games actually being good or bad. I guess that's sort of because it's all just hype.
Yes. I think we'll get back to this with the other topics, but we'll keep going so can bring all the other parts of this discussion into it, so we can another part of this, right, that we wanted to bring up is the sort of like, well, it's a lot of things, right, but I guess like game completion and achievements and stuff like that, right? And I had a hard time like expressing what I meant to you earlier when we discussed it, so I guess maybe you can start.
Well, I guess I'll start with achievements because that's easier. So I think achievements, and I'm sure you agree, achievements are super pointless, and like people's obsession with them is a bit weird, right? Because it's when you read the discussion or listen to the discussion around achievements, it's very, very clear that it's like, you know, going back to what we've discussed in previous videos, like it's about external motivation. It's like I get this badge of honor on my Steam profile that says I've completed this game 100% and it's super cool or whatever. And like there's no
but like one thing so like I agree, I think it's mostly extrinsic and I don't really care about it, but I can see like if they weren't so stupid in most games, there could be some like not value, but like so if we go back, right, like this is from memory only, so maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like if we go back in time, the point of the like achievements where there was like achievements in the game was to unlock a bunch of skins, because the designers had built a bunch of skins during the time, you know, when the game was almost done and they didn't have, like, they've done all the content or whatever, which is these days it's like DLC and stuff, right? Like they sell the skins or whatever. But yeah, so like having little things like that might be fine, I guess, but the problem, I don't know what the point with that part was, but the point I'm trying to make is that if achievements were like, okay, beat the hardest difficulty of the game without dying or something, right? Then that's like an achievement, right? I guess is my point. Whereas it's like collect 100 blueberries or something, right?
Like do this extremely tedious task.
Or like one of our viewers pointed, I don't remember who, sorry, Mr. Viewer, that like they put a bunch of achievements into like track, you know, how many beat the first level or whatever, and then you get like a bunch of pointless achievements like wow, you started the game or whatever, right? So it's just for them to track, right? So yeah.
Well, I do think, like, obviously there are very stupid examples of that, but I do think there is like some merit to having like stats about how many players did certain things.
Yeah, for the
like,
designers, sure, but like as a player.
Well, even for me, like I like to like look at games I've played and see like, oh yeah, this many percent of people beat the game. Now, obviously, if you have like achievements that are like, oh, you finished the tutorial or whatever, like that isn't as interesting. But like, as you said, if there's an achievement for you beat this game on ultra hard mode without dying, like I think that there is some like interesting aspect to knowing that as a player. You kind of get what I'm saying?
But I guess I guess what we're saying is that it's not actually that interesting. Like the achievement itself is actually not that interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more about like
like
look at what other
collecting achievements is
collecting, right?
Yeah. I actually wanted to bring in a game that I've talked about before on the podcast in this discussion, and that is Europa Universalis 4. Because for those of you that don't know, Europa Universalis 4 is like this big grand strategy game, and it's pretty good. You should check it out if you're into that kind of game. But one of the main problems with EU4 is that it's technically a sandbox, right? So if you're not ambitious, the game can actually be quite easy. Now it depends, because there are like starts that are super hard. But EU4 actually does like utilize achievements to some extent in an interesting way, because there's like challenging runs that you can do in achievements. I'm just not sure Steam achievements is the correct thing to do, like the correct way to do them. And so, for example, you know, let's take an example. There's a famous, or well, it was famous really long ago, because now there are way harder achievements. But like back when I started playing EU4, there was like a really famous achievement that was famous for being hard, called the Big Blue Blob, which was like, as France, like conquer a bunch of stuff really fast, because you play like actual historical nations in that game. And like, I think it does add something to the game, because if you are good at the game and you decide to like sit down and play France, you're probably gonna have a pretty boring time, because it's gonna be super easy for you. But like, if you play as France with the goal of getting the Big Blue Blob achievement, it's all of a sudden way more challenging. And it's actually like quite a few of the achievements are actually quite interesting and like require you to do interesting stuff.
Well, I guess it ties into what we have discussed in the past, where people really like to talk about creating your own difficulty, right? And how I feel like that doesn't work. Whereas this, I mean, it would work better in the game, obviously, as like challenge missions or whatever. But the achievements at least gives the players something where it's like the devs wants you to do this, right?
Yeah.
And I think the problem for me is more that a lot of the time developers actually intentionally don't make them challenging, because they are scared that someone won't beat them, right? So they're just checklists or whatever, right? Which plays into this achievement hunting mindset, right? So what becomes your like gaming identity or whatever, it's like, oh, you're hunting achievements, right?
Yeah.
Which I want to touch on that, because it's gonna be hard to describe it, but I think you get what I'm saying, so it's fine, right? But I feel like I don't know what to compare it to, right? But it's like, I feel like a lot of the time people I don't know if it's like you want to feel like you have like a gamer identity or whatever, but it's sort of this man, how to say that, like, you know, how when you try to do something hard, like whatever it is in real life, and you basically do everything around that thing instead of doing that thing to make it feel like you're doing something productive, but you're actually not doing the thing you wanted to do. That's sort of the way I feel about some of these systems, like, you know, having a long backlog and or like not having a bag, sorry, like completing about, like having a list of like, oh, I've completed all these games and I have all these achievements or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about like completing, like playing the hardest games or whatever, right? But even doing that for a checklist, it feels a bit silly to me. Maybe, I don't know. No, I'm just rambling. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Do you have a better way to say it?
I think I do. So let's see if I can. So like, okay, let's take football as an example,
Yeah.
or soccer for you Americans. It's like a lot of people are very interested in football.
Yeah.
And a lot of people watch a lot of football, and
Yeah.
a lot of people are like football hooligans, and they like
Well,
they have their favorite teams.
Hooligans, probably.
No, but yeah, they have their favorite teams,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
have the
yeah.
merch and whatever.
They're enthusiasts.
Yeah, exactly. But weirdly enough, very few of those people actually play football.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the point you're trying to make?
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like this. To be clear, this is super mean, but this is sort of how I feel about it, right? Because for me, like the game is the game part, right? And I feel like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So and that part is the challenging part in some. We've talked about this a bunch in the past, right? It's not like, oh, it has to be like fast paced or whatever hard. There is a bunch of different ways you can interpret hard games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even a story game can in a way be a hard game, right? If the topic is hard to whatever, right? So that not in right. It's hard in the same sense that
I would
a book is hard to read
that,
or whatever, right? Or,
yeah, I would say that maybe meaningful is a better word to use than hard.
Right? Yeah, but these things like achievements and like having a list of like, oh look, I completed all these games. It feels like these are ways for people to, honestly, again, my opinion, right, trick themselves, right, into feeling like they belong in some sort of like gaming sphere or whatever, right? So they can join in on the discourse, which, I mean, there is no such thing, like you can just talk about whatever, like there is no entry. You get what I'm saying, right? It's like on a personal level or whatever, right? Whereas it would, I mean, again, people are free to do whatever they want, right? But I feel like that's like taking away from what is interesting about games, right? It's like playing around games in a way, right? It's like you don't actually want to play games, you just want to talk about games. And instead of like trying to get better at games, you're doing all these small tasks around it, right? Like you said, you're watching, like you're learning about stuff that is not actually playing the game, so you can talk about the games. And to be clear, again, totally fine if you want to do that. I'm just, to me, that's I guess I don't have a point in this. It's just more of an observation, right? Because like obviously it's fine for people to do that. I guess it ties back to what we're talking about, where we're like, who should you listen to when you talk, like who should you listen to when you discuss game design, right? And so that's sort of the thing, right? I'm maybe getting at that those people are not qualified to do that, in my opinion, right?
Yeah. I actually have a very good example of this, which is I once knew a designer who was like very into Counter-Strike. And if you watched the podcast before, you know that I'm into Counter-Strike. And I actually play Counter-Strike. And this is sort of my point. So this person was very, very into Counter-Strike. They were keeping up with all the Counter-Strike news. They were watching all the Counter-Strike majors. They knew all the pro players and their HLTV stats or whatever.
Yeah.
But this person had played like 50 hours of Counter-Strike in their life.
Yeah.
And they talked about Counter-Strike days for days on end. Is that the saying?
I don't know.
Whatever. They were like talking about the design behind it and like why it's good, why it's bad, and so on and so on. And like I sort of realized over time talking to this person that like he has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's like his idea of CS is so incredibly superficial.
Yeah. Which is,
like,
to be clear, which is fine, right? That people are allowed to have superficial interests, right? They don't need deep. All their interests to be deep. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, but it's like it's because at first I was tricked by this person, like, like he knows about CS, wow. But like the more I talked to him, the more I realized that like no, he actually has no clue. And it's very interesting because like we were talking about like because I play CS a lot, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about CS, and he was like, what was it like? Because I'm like decent at CS, right? I'm not pro by any means, but I'm pretty good at CS. And like when we were discussing that once, and like he asked me, like it was very obvious that he thought that being good at CS was all about knowing smoke lineups and like spray patterns by heart, and like that was all you needed to be a pro CS player. And like as someone who plays a lot of CS, that's like as close from the truth that you could be, right?
Yeah.
And like if any of you listening are playing like play a lot of CS, you know that like that's actually a very very like minor and superficial part of being good at CS.
Yeah.
But it's like very very interesting because that's like what's superficially difficult, right? When you look at CS, that's what looks difficult to do, right? Because you don't know what's actually difficult because you haven't played it. And so like for example, he didn't know what counter strafing was, which, you know, I've talked about CS before. Like that's a very 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 big part of CS, and like knowing what counter strafing is like one of the big steps, you know, to become actually good at CS. And like he had never heard of it before, which was very interesting. Anyways, long rant about CS to say that like I totally get what you're saying. It's like it's very hard to have deep discussions about games with people because a lot of people seem to be like keeping up with the discourse around games without actually playing games. I guess.
I mean, or they're playing the games in this superficial way where they'll go from one game to the next, maybe clear the games on easy, get all the achievements or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Again, which is fine if that's the way you want to interact with games. But for me, that's I guess in a way a bit annoying, right? Because that means that it gets harder for me to figure out where the good games are. I guess, in my opinion, good games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think there is like one thing that I do want to like, I don't know if clarify is the right word.
Go ahead.
But like a lot of people who like because we obviously like hard games and we talk about them all the time and stuff like that. And it feels like a lot of people
or deep
who
games,
like
whatever you said earlier. What was
exactly.
You said
meaningful games. Yes,
exactly.
that's a better way.
That sounds
but
very rude and pretentious, though. But I guess I like that.
Yeah.
We actually play meaningful games.
Yeah, exactly, guys.
We don't play those casual games.
Yeah. No, but like I think this is more relevant to like hard games in particular.
Yeah.
Which is that, and I guess this ties in a bit to the achievement completionist stuff as well, which is that a lot of people seem to like say that, you know, caring about being good at games is like bad. That doesn't make any sense. I think you know, people calling other people sweats is a very good example of this. It's like, oh, that guy beat me because he's a sweat, so it didn't count, right? Which like what that actually means is that guy is taking this more seriously and is like actually trying more than me, so therefore he is worse than me.
I think
which like
the
makes no
word
sense
you're
at all.
looking for is excuse.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Excuse.
But yeah, so it's like maybe I'm a bit incoherent here, but like I just wanted to clarify that when we say that like achievement hunting is pointless, we don't mean it in that way.
Well, in that way, what way?
Like, I'm not saying achievement hunting is pointless in like, oh, you're trying too hard, pointless way, right?
No. It's like the MMO pointless, right?
Exactly. It's like you're wasting your time. You're just grinding.
Yeah.
Right?
Unless it's like
unless it's a meaningful achievement.
Or whatever, right? Maybe you see some like, because like there is a big difference between go pick 1,000 blueberries and like beat the game without dying or whatever, right? Because like the second one, I mean, it's such a bad example because it's like about hard games again, but I don't know. I think hopefully people will get it anyways, right? Like my point is the blueberry thing. The only reason you would ever do that, unless it's like super actually, because like in theory you could make a game that's like super interesting where you pick blueberries, I guess. So maybe I shouldn't use that example, but it's the classic example we use here, right? Picking blueberries. But like in theory, at least, right? Or like not in theory, like in most games, I guess is what I would say. Picking blueberries is not something you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So
it's boring.
It's boring. So if you're only doing it because there is a thing that's gonna pop up and make a sound and give you some like Steam level points or whatever, right? Then I think that is pointless.
Yes.
Which again might be fine sometimes. Like let's say you're in that mood or whatever, you just want to play a game like MMOs, right? You're like in that mood where you just want to play something that wastes your time or whatever, right? Totally fine, right? Totally fine. Or like if that's the only thing you play, also totally fine. I'm just saying that for the experience we are looking for, right? Having discussions with that kind of it's not even that kind of because like if we step more into the casual direction, right, where it's like, oh, this person is, you know, just playing like, I don't know, the latest Assassin's Creed and doing like achievements in that or whatever, that person is probably less hard to discuss with, or do you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like they are more casual about their gaming experience, right? So it's not as hard to discuss these things with them, right? Because they get that, oh, you play a lot of games or whatever, right? So you really like them. I just play this. This is good. This is fine for me, right? And it's like an easy discussion to have because there's a like mutual understanding there, right? Or whatever. Whereas if it's someone that like plays more into this, like we talked about, where they're like really into all this stuff and they're like trying to, it sounds so mean to say, but like they're trying to like we said before, they're trying to sort of, I don't want to say hide, but you get what I'm saying. They don't want to put in the effort to play. You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. No, it's like the CS example, right? They follow the discourse around the game and they watch.
Yeah, but they don't actually want to engage in playing the game.
Exactly.
But they are very passionate about how the game should work, right? And so it becomes a really hard thing to discuss for someone that actually plays the game a lot, right? Because it's like, no, it should be this way. I've played this game for 10 hours, right? And watched a million YouTube videos about the game or whatever, right? It's like, okay, but you don't play the game. Or like you engage in it in a very super, like surface level way, right? So, yeah.
I do want to make one point though about achievement hunting. Even though this wasn't necessarily related to achievement hunting. I do think that a lot of times achievement hunters are actually like good at video games. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it could be.
Because there are games that do have a lot of challenging achievements, right? So like while I think the pastime of hunting achievements is pointless, I do think that, you know, I would rather talk to like an achievement hunter than someone like, you know, like we just described, that like
doesn't actually play.
Because achievement hunters do actually play games a lot, right? I guess is sort of my point.
Yeah, that is true, actually.
And so like if you are an achievement hunter, that's fine. I just find it like pointless to because essentially, how do I say this? It's like because an achievement hunter is essentially, you know, doing this, like doing the same thing that I'm doing when I play a game, but then they are also fine doing a bit of boring stuff to get the 100% completion.
Yeah, that is true.
So like, yeah, I guess that's my point.
It depends on what games you're trying to.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point as well.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. So just because you're an achievement hunter doesn't mean you're like, you have a bad taste in games or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'm just questioning how you spend your time.
Yes.
But you're free to spend it in that way, I guess.
Yeah. You are still a real gamer in some cases. I mean, conditions do apply.
Everyone is a real gamer.
Yeah, just kidding. Yeah. There was one more thing we wanted to bring up around the social atmosphere. Well, maybe there were more things, but there's one thing I want to bring up at least, which is a very, very like topical topic.
You want to touch on backlogs first?
Okay, yeah, go ahead then. You do that. No, I wanted to move on to something else.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah, I'm just mention like we can tie that into this thing, right? We just I want to mention in relation to these backlogs, right? A lot of people talk about, I have so many games that I want to get to and play or whatever, right? And I mean, in some way that is true for me as well, right? I have a list of games that I want to play, but I feel like a lot of the time people don't actually want to play the games on their backlog, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's more of a like, oh yeah, I have all these games that I bought, but I don't actually want to play them, right? Yeah. Because like the only if I have something on my backlog or whatever you want to call it, it's actually because I'm too bad, right? I it's like I'm playing a shmup right now, right? And like there is a shmup I want to play, but I'm not gonna play that now because I need to beat the one I'm on or whatever, right? Stuff like that, or like a puzzle game, right? Yeah, I don't know what my point is with this. I guess it's just interesting, I guess. I don't know. Do you have any comments on backlogs?
I guess this ties a bit into like two things we've already discussed today, which is like the thing we just discussed with like people being casually interested in being part of the discourse of something. But then
right, also, yeah, exactly. Like it's like, oh, they want to beat. That's a good way to say it. I couldn't figure it out. Like they want to play like The Witcher or something. Not because they want to play The Witcher, but because they want to talk about The Witcher with people or something, right?
Yeah, because like if they actually wanted to play The Witcher, they would have played it, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Instead of just buying it and having it on their backlog and being like, oh, I'm gonna get to that at some point.
Yeah, because it's not like they're playing it. I mean, there are people, but like it's not like the reason they're not playing Witcher now is because they're trying to play a game right now that's really, really hard or whatever, right? Like it would be one thing for like, I mean, okay, let's use Dark Souls as an example, our classic favorite example, right? Let's say you're playing Dark Souls, like let's say you have all the Dark Souls on your backlog and you're currently playing the first one, right? That's one thing, right? Because then it's like, well, like obviously you're not gonna start playing Dark Souls 2 or 3 before you beat 1. So if you're stuck on 1, obviously you're gonna like beat 1 first, right? Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe if you get bored, you could play the other ones, but yeah, you get what I'm saying, right? Where it's like, I feel like a lot of the time people don't even like, they're like, oh, I need to play The Witcher, but they're not. It's not like they have something that they're playing right now. They're playing like World of Warcraft or something, right? Or am I too mean right now?
No, I think that's like a pretty good way to put it, right?
Maybe it's we should like find another game to. We criticize World of Warcraft all. I mean, it's a good game to criticize because honestly, it's not a good thing. It's bad. But I feel like we could like go wider, so it's not World of Warcraft people don't feel attacked, I guess. Like we could criticize Final Fantasy 14 or something instead, right?
Yeah. Stardew Valley or something.
no, that's way too mean. The Stardew Valley is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. My bad. I don't want to compare.
No, don't compare World of Warcraft or Stardew Valley to World of Warcraft. That's not okay.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah. I will offer a formal apology.
You send apology letter to the developer.
Yes, my bad. But yeah, it's like, I guess this ties into the like hype thing as well, right? Because I feel like, because like I used to have like a big backlog before, right? I was one of these people that like bought a bunch of games on sale and was like, oh, I'm gonna play that game
the sales
sometime
thing as well, right?
Yeah. And like I've kind of stopped doing that. Like I still do it sometimes if it's like a really good sale. If there's a game for like $30, that's $1. Suddenly I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna buy it now because like I save $29 or whatever, or I get it basically for free. But anyways, I feel like a lot of times the like big new thing gets in the way of clearing your backlog, right? So it's like, let's say you have The Witcher 3 in your backlog, right? And then all of a sudden Highguard comes out and you're like, holy crap, all my friends are playing Highguard. I need to play Highguard
no one
too.
ever.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I picked it. And so like, because of this hype cycle thing that we discussed previously, like it keeps getting in the way of like playing The Witcher, because there's always new games coming out and you need to play the newest games because you're hyped for them. And so like The Witcher, because you don't want to miss the release, right? That's the most epic part of playing the game. And so like The Witcher keeps getting pushed back because there keeps coming out new games that you want to play with your friends and so on and so on. So I think that's like one aspect to it as well. And so like if we didn't have this hype culture surrounding new games, like backlogs wouldn't be as big of a
I mean, it's not an
problem,
issue at all, right? This is just
an
that's observation, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, like obviously there's games like, oh, I get to that eventually or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that makes sense, right? Complete sense. It's like, yeah, I'm not playing that right now. I guess it's just more of a like thought or observation, right? Where it's like, is it actually on your backlog, or are you just saying that to tell yourself that, oh no, like this is more like sort of like general life stuff, right? Where it's like you're telling yourself you're gonna stop eating chips or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But
and it's like, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, right? Yeah, it's the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is totally fine. It's just interesting that it applies to this as well, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, I'll get to this game sometime.
Yeah.
And I think this is part actually why remakes are so popular, because it gives people like a way to join in on the discourse without putting in the effort of playing the old game.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, because the gaming discourse of the week is surrounding that game, and so it becomes like social focus number one to play that game. And so like if you've had Resident Evil 4 or whatever on your backlog for a while, and Resident Evil 4 Remastered is coming out next week, you're like, oh yeah, this is the perfect opportunity to get into Resident Evil 4 or whatever.
Which is unfortunate because like
because remakes are often bad.
Remakes
Resident
are
Evil 4
not the original game at all, right? And then the discourse is about that, and then it becomes hard to tell the difference between the old and the new one and stuff, right? Bunch of bad stuff. Yeah, now I think you can go back to the thing you wanted to discuss.
So I guess this ties into a lot of things we've discussed today. Yes. And that is FOMO. Like, if there was one social problem or whatever you want to call it surrounding games, or maybe society in general, if we want to be like pretentious and philosophical,
a bit there, but,
maybe a bit, but yeah, like games especially are absolutely terrible, or gamers, are absolutely terrible when it comes to FOMO. And like, I think it's like to the detriment of the video game market. No, but you get what I'm saying. It's like everything is very FOMO driven when it comes to video games. And I think, you know, not only like in a monetary sense. So I'm not only talking about like, you know, battle passes with like limited time content and whatever. I'm also thinking more in like design circles, if that makes sense. So I think a really good example of this is like, you know, the discourse that always happens when a new difficult game is released, like a popular difficult game, like, you know, Silksong or Elden Ring, Dark Souls, whatever. There's always these big discussions around, oh, should there be an easy mode so everyone can play the game, blah, 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 blah. And to me, like, this discussion is always super stupid because it's very obvious that the reason that this discussion exists is because there are people who can't be bothered to play the game that don't want to have FOMO.
No, they don't want to play the game. They want to be in the discourse that we talked about earlier, right? Exactly. That's what they want in on.
Yeah, like they're suffering from FOMO, right? Because they're like, oh, everyone's talking about Elden Ring. I want to play Elden Ring, but then they play Elden Ring and it's hard, and they're like, oh no, this takes effort. Fuck. Why can't they add an easy mode? No. I don't want to play this game. I just want to be part of the discourse.
That sounded very mean, but I guess that's what's happening actually. It's interesting. So like the two aspects there. I want to go back to the monetary part because that's like an interesting. Like I've seen an interesting development in myself around that, right? So like I had some issues with that when I was younger. But these days I'm completely like allergic to that. Like I can't not stand any game that does any of that stuff. And to clarify what I mean, it's like so like if we're talking in games, there's a bunch of them, so I'll go through them. Like we're talking in games, like you said, like battle passes and stuff. That completely makes me how do you say, like disinterested already, right? It's like oh cool, like this. You get what I'm saying, right? It's like, this game just wants to trick me to like waste my time, and like I just want to stop immediately, right? It doesn't make like me. It has the opposite of the wanted effect, right? Where it's like they want it to make me feel like I have to play every day, but what it's doing, it's making me play less because I don't like. I guess I sort of feel like I'm missing out, but I don't want to participate, right? If that makes sense. Like, I didn't put in the effort, like I didn't go in every day, so I didn't get the skin or whatever, and so I guess I'll just play something else, right? Because like I don't want the game to decide when and where I do, like, right? I want to do things at my pace, right? If that makes sense. I don't want the game to dictate that, right? But then we have the other FOMOs, which are like, honestly, they're fucking great, because only people that want to have to deal with them, which is like, you know, these like early access FOMOs, and like the fact that games cost like 3 times as much on release as like half a year later. Those are perfect. Like those are for someone like me, those are super nice, because you can just not buy them then and buy them later, right? If you don't care about this discourse that we talked about, then that FOMO is non-existent, right? So you can just wait half a year and buy the game if you were actually interested, and you just save money. And the developers are like utilizing the fact that there will be a bunch of people that would buy it early to get into the discourse, right? So there's that's that aspect, right? And then you have the other aspect that you mentioned, where it's like the game itself, right? Where it's like hard or whatever, and you're missing out because it's hard or something, right?
Yeah,
because you can't participate in the discourse.
Yeah, because it's very clear to me that it's like all driven by FOMO, right? Because like if we take Elden Ring as an example, right? It's like Elden Ring is a hard game, and if you are not interested in playing a hard game, then you are not actually interested in playing Elden Ring. And so, therefore, asking for an easy mode makes no sense, right? It's like very...
But I don't even think that's the... even if you... I maybe this is mean, but I'm feeling like the people... like you said, like the people that are bringing this up, they are just like, they just want the game to tell them that they beat the game so that they can join in on the discourse, right?
Yeah.
Because if you didn't care, you would just like maybe let's say you actually enjoy like walking around the world in Elden Ring or whatever.
Yeah.
And like sure, when it came out, maybe that's not possible, but like these days, that there's a bunch of stuff you can like, you know, you can like they've extracted like a bunch of stuff from the game, right? So you can like look at the world and stuff, right? So if you're like interested in that, you can just do that. So I feel like that's not what they're after, right? They want the like, it's not that they want, it's not.
Yeah, I guess it's like they want the developer seal of approval.
Yeah,
right?
and it's not
It
even
goes back to
about
the achievement
they don't want to experience anything in the game. Like the game does literally not matter at all, right? That's my sort of this is being a bit mean and like my opinion, but yeah, this is the podcast of our opinions, right? So if you don't agree, that's fine. But this is how I feel about it, right?
Yes.
Which is that the people that bring this up all the time, they don't want to experience, like they don't care about Elden Ring at all. All. Like they don't want to walk around in the world. They don't want, like, the only thing they want to do it, but the reason they want to do it is because they want to join in the discourse, right? It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with the game. That's how I feel about it, right? So, of course, there's different stuff around that, right? Like, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Because I like, of course, there's people that like, but I even know if that's like, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's like, just weird. Like, it's just weird because they're spending more effort trying to get them to add easy mode than it takes to beat the game. But yeah,
because like I think one thing that's very interesting is that like, because oftentimes these people argue that like, oh, I'm just interested in the story of
that's what I mean, right? Yeah.
And like, first of all, if that's true, you could probably just watch it on YouTube. But let's say that it actually mattered that you played it in the game.
Yeah.
You could just like mod your game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Cheat.
Yeah. There's like a bunch of stuff you can just change the game and whatever. Like there's tons of stuff. Yeah.
But people aren't actually interested in that, right? Because I guess it's sort of what I said, right? Because they want the official developer seal of approval that they completed the game or whatever. Or they want the game to say that it's fine that you do it on easy mode or whatever.
Yeah.
Because like...
Yeah, because it goes back to the like the backlogs and the checklists, like the game completion stuff, right? Where you're like, oh yeah, I beat the game, so now I'm like allowed to talk about it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Which I mean is silly because obviously you're allowed to talk about a game even if you haven't beaten it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's sort of this weird thing, trying to like just reflecting on it, right? That because. This turned into a hard games discussion again, but whatever.
As it always does.
It's just interesting because, like you said, it's sort of surely it's not that interesting if you don't engage with the content, or like, am I crazy? Right? Like the content of Elden Ring is I mean, it's not Elden. We're saying, oh, it's so hard. I mean, oh, come on, it's not the hardest game ever, right? There's a ton of strats you can do. Like there's people that have made strats where you literally don't need to press the dodge button and still can win in that game, right? There's things you can do to mitigate the difficulty. And you would probably have a better time if you're one of those people that don't like difficult games. You would probably have a better time if you did something like that, like doing one of those cheesy strats. That would be kind of interesting, right? Probably, I think. Yeah. I don't know. But like, it feels like, yeah, I guess the very mean way, but that's how I feel to say it. And maybe this is too judgmental. Maybe people can tell us in the comments or whatever. But that's the way I feel is that it is just about the discourse, right? Because if it wasn't, then you would want to engage with the content. Yeah. Yeah, and maybe that's just a general issue, I guess. And maybe actually, like, maybe that's just reflecting on it again, maybe that's one of the reasons why a lot of modern mechanics are so like surface level, right? Because they're fun to discuss. It's like, oh yeah, this thing where you pressed 15 buttons in sequence or whatever. No, that sounded way too hard. You know what I mean, right? Where they're like, it's this surface level things on top, and you're like not actually engaging with anything interesting or nuanced within the game. It's just all of these things on top, and maybe part of that, why that is popular, is because it's actually like there's a lot to discuss, right? If you're not because I think that's actually a really big issue in general with game design, that if you look at older games, right, they are actually, there's actually less going on in them, but they're way deeper, right? Because it's just harder to see it, right? And so when you, like we've talked about Final Fight in the past, right? It's a super nuanced game where there's a lot of like, oh, what happens if I'm here and this guy is there, but this guy is like 5 centimeters too far here or whatever, right? There's like so much nuance to that, but you need to engage at such a high level or whatever with the systems. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but you get what I'm saying, right? You need to actually try a bit to get to the point where you think like that and to have that discussion, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's actually interesting that you say this. Maybe we discussed this like not on the podcast before, because like a few, like this past week I've been thinking of like exactly this, like like how, like exactly with the Final Fight example, right? It's like modern game design discussion is very focused around, you know, gimmicky mechanics. And I think the reason for that is, you know, and the thought I had was exactly like your example with Final Fight. It's like, to someone that hasn't played Final Fight doesn't look very interesting. It's like you're walking around, you're punching a few guys. It's like you have like 3 or 4 moves and that's it. Like, it doesn't look deep at all on a surface level. But if you actually play that game, it's like super deep and it's super interesting. But it's like super hard to explain why it's good, and you would need like several hours and like explain a bunch of like game design theory or whatever to like actually get to that point
but it's also,
where you can talk
funny
about
because it's because of these things, right? Because what happens in these newer games is that perhaps some of them would have the nuance that Final Fight has. I'm not saying it would be the same, right? They would have other nuances, but all these mechanics, they have rules that, you know, it's like you should do this here, you should do this here, right? So there is no nuance, right? The you're using the mechanics, and that like removes the nuance, right? Because it's sort of this like you have solutions to all your problems way of thinking, right? Whereas in Final Fight, something like Final Fight, the designer didn't put in a bunch of solutions, right? So you have to figure it out. And then a lot of people feel like, oh, you just mash the buttons and put in more coins, right? Because at the skill level they're at, they can't perceive that there's more going on, right?
Yeah.
We were browsing Steam earlier, right? And we were like reading reviews for some reason to a game. We were discussing that we were like, oh, this game seems interesting because it has a bunch of negative reviews. Which we do sometimes. Don't ask why. Maybe we should talk about that sometime. Like we have in summary, like this, whatever. We'll talk about that in the future. Basically, if games has a bunch of very angry reviews, they're probably good or whatever in the right way. It doesn't matter. The point is, one of them was like, this game is just random. There's no skill or whatever. It's just random, right? And that's the sort of thing, right, where people will say those things, right, where it's in this case it was like a turn-based game, right? So it was like there was probably some randomness in it, right? So but the problem with discussing these things with people a lot of the time, I feel like, right, at least is that they'll say that this like, oh, it's just RNG, you can't do anything, right? But they're not at a level where they can make that judgment yet, right? So it's really hard to evaluate what they're saying, right? Because they're like, oh, it's just random, you can't do anything. But like, maybe actually you can do a lot of things. It's just that you're bad, right? Yes. And that's like hard for people to grasp. I think that's my point, right? That people have a hard time understanding that they don't understand, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this goes back to my like CS example as well, right?
Yeah.
Where like he's watched a bunch of like millions of hours of videos about CS and like read a bunch of stuff about CS, but never actually played it, or like played it very little, and so like he doesn't know that he doesn't understand anything. Exactly. He thinks he does because he's like watched a bunch of trivia stuff about it, but like he actually doesn't.
It's sort of this bell curve thing, right? That people talk about in other skills, right? Where it's like you have the part, the beginning of the bell curve, which is like I don't know anything, right? And then I feel like a lot of people get stuck on the like part where you're like, oh no, I know everything, but you actually don't, or whatever, right?
Oh, you mean like what's it called? Dunning-Kruger effect?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. But then like if you keep going, you'll realize that you don't understand anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think going back to like what you said a bit earlier, I think it's very interesting because to me it's very obvious that like, or well, sorry, that's the wrong way to put it. Because like as we said about Final Fight, like Final Fight is a game that like relies a lot on fundamentals, right? It's like it's basically crowd control the video game.
Yes.
But like to actually like it's very hard to put into words why Final Fight is good. And it's very hard, like I think this is also a very important factor, like on a Steam page, it's very hard to like if I have a generic beat 'em up, like if I make a beat 'em up that looks like a generic beat 'em up, it's like very hard for me to explain, no wait, this beat 'em up is actually good because like the fundamentals of crowd control and stuff like that are very interesting, and like the enemy placement in this game is really good and so on. Like you can't really sell a game by doing that, or like it's very hard to show on a Steam page. You need to actually play the game to like, and you need to play the game a lot to get to that point where you realize like, oh shit, this is interesting because of this and that. But like,
sorry, continue first.
Yeah, but like, because like sort of the point I wanted to get to is that like with modern game design, we've talked about this before, I think even on a dedicated episode, it's like it's very novelty based, right? It's like, oh, it's one very popular thing to do is like a genre blend. It's like, oh, it's like Stardew Valley with a third person shooter. I think that was our example.
No, it was Final Fight Balatro.
Oh yeah, true. It's like, oh yeah, this is a beat 'em up, but Balatro crossover or whatever. And it's like, it's very easy to explain to someone why your game is good if you have like a bunch of weird quirky mechanics. It's very hard to explain why your game is good if it's just like, if it's not flashy, if there's no novelty, and it's just like good fundamentals, like good level design, good enemy design, good balancing or whatever. Because like you can't put that on a Steam page. It's like, oh, our game is the best balanced game ever. Yeah, no one's gonna believe you if you say that.
I'm gonna do that next time I make it. If I ever put a game on Steam, I'm gonna say this is the best balanced game ever, whatever you said.
Yeah.
Most balanced game, Yeah, I wanted to bring up a thing that I just like. I was thinking maybe you can say yes or no. I like it seems a bit strange in a way, right? Because if you compare it to other things, it's not. I don't know why. I guess movies do that. So I'm thinking like music, right? Music, even bad music, is still not like maybe there is a genre that does this in music, but like I feel like it's more like, oh, why did you put this chord here? It sounds good or whatever, right? Like there's not, I mean, there's obviously a lot of people that discuss theory and stuff, but when it comes to actual music in production, I feel like a lot of it is not, it's not. I mean, it maybe music is sort of a science, but you get what I'm saying. It's more on a feel level or whatever, right? They go with the like sounds they like, right? And for some reason, that's not the way people do game design, right? Because the way that would work is like, oh, you, like you said, you make a beat 'em up, or like let's say you're making a I don't know what, like if we look at arcade games, for example, right? There's a lot of nuance even within a genre. Like some people will say like, oh, this is all the same game, right? And I'm not talking about, oh, they have like different like I like bringing up Cave, right? The shmup developer. They put out like 10 or something shmups, right? And they all feel very different, right? Then some of them have gimmicks, of course, right? Then they have some like gimmicky mechanics, but so they even they fall like victim or whatever to this. And maybe I'm not saying you can't do any gimmicks ever, right? That's fine, but they still, like, even if you remove that aspect, there's still like nuance to how everything feels, right? Like you said with Final Fight, right? It's like, how are the patterns structured? How are the enemies moving? How does my weapon work, or whatever, right? And all of that affects how the game feels. And I feel like a lot of designers are, like you said, focusing on like, oh, what if you could like bend the bullets or whatever, right? Because you can sell that, instead of like the feel thing where like, well, if I have this, and like, I'm not talking about Cave here, right? But just in general, right? Because I like, judging by the games I have played that they made, like they definitely had some like good design going, right? But like more thinking about like the flow of the game, right? And like, oh, how does this feel to play, right? Maybe it's like, I mean, we even made an episode about this earlier. What do we call it? The like game designers used to be gamers, right? Where that was like sort of our theory, right? Or at least part of a theory, right? So maybe game designers just don't play enough games, right? Maybe that like like there's the barrier to entry to make games is so big that it's hard to get someone that's both good at playing games and at making them, if that makes sense, right? Because you need to invest a lot of time to get good at games, but you also need to invest a lot of time to get good at like art and programming and audio, right? So it's hard to get them together. But then you could argue, oh, you could just hire them, but I'm pretty sure that the game design or like the game studios are not hiring for like good at video games, right?
No.
So yeah.
But yeah, I do think I guess that's sort of what I tried to say before, but perhaps failed to like.
I don't think you failed.
Make clear, but like, I think the reason that game design is so focused on like individual mechanics and novelty and stuff like that is because game designers don't realize there's something deeper, sort of. Not all game designers, of course. There are good game designers, but like,
so obviously there are. I mean, there are good games, so obviously there's good game designers, and just.
But like, you know.
But I feel like sometimes, to be a bit mean, I guess, or whatever. I feel like even good designers sometimes falls into this trap, right? Where they'll design a good game, but that's like, so their like subconscious process or whatever have made a good game, but their like conscious process has still put in some gimmick or something, right?
Yeah.
For and maybe they do it to sell the game, right? So maybe it's like because that makes sense, right? You still need to sell copies, right? So maybe that's actually why they did it. But you get what I'm saying, right? Where it's like this process where they're thinking that the game is about this gimmick that they put in, but they actually made a good game below it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah, and then again, not saying you can't make interesting, because you'll see that like my favorite example. Not that it's my favorite game, but it's a good example, is the Ikaruga, right? The shmup, right? Yeah. Where it's like, in a way, that's sort of a gimmick, right? That you can swap between the two colors. But because the designers are fairly, I'm assuming, fairly skilled at the genre, right? They understand that this change, like this gimmick, actually, to make that work, they need to change a lot of stuff in the game, right? They can't just make Dodonpachi and put a swap color thing in it, right? That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
They need to build the game around the fact that you flip, right? And they do.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell very clearly when you play that game. Like, my brain can't. Holy crap! Like, you need to have a big brain to play that game or whatever, right? The big because you need to swap and stuff all the time, right? And in interesting ways. So they built it around that, and it's become a different thing, its own thing, right? So I'm not saying that you can't evolve genres and stuff and put in gimmicks. I think this is sort of basically what we're saying, is that it's a skill issue, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think Ikaruga is a pretty good example of like that, because
it's very much not a shmup, like, to me.
Exactly. It's like, because I haven't played a lot of Ikaruga. I've only played a little bit, so maybe I'm not the most qualified to talk about it. But like, when I played it, I very instantly felt like, oh shit, this isn't like other shmups where you dodge the bullets,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
This is a game about flipping at the right time, right? And also a bit of dodging bullets, right? Because there's still that aspect. But like, the focus has shifted from dodging the bullets or whatever, or doing the routing or whatever.
I mean, there's shmups that are about other things than dodging, but
yes.
Right, there's more combat versus less combat. Like, there's nuance in the shmups as well, right? Outside of
but
that
like
part,
compared to other shmups, Ikaruga is very much like, if you want to be dramatic, you could even say that Ikaruga isn't really a shmup, right? Because it's so different because of the gimmick, and like
which doesn't mean it's bad, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It's still a good game, but like it's very different from other shmups, and I feel like I think Ikaruga is a pretty fun example, because that's like one of the most famous shmups among normal people, or whatever you want to say. It's like when you talk about shmups with people who don't play shmups or don't play arcade games, they're like, oh yeah, Ikaruga's really cool, I know that game. And I think that's pretty funny, because I think the reason that they know that game is because it has this like very big gimmick. And like, that's why they know it, because when they see a normal shmup, they're like, oh yeah, that's a boring game where you dodge the bullets, that's not deep. But they see the Ikaruga stuff, and that's like, whoa, that's a really cool mechanic. And it's like,
I think in Ikaruga's, I mean, not in Ikaruga's defense, Ikaruga is a good game, but I think what's happening is that this flip mechanic has a very good, like, we talked about earlier, the like the surface level stuff, right? Where it's like because like what am I trying to say? Like, it's very immediately clear that this is an interesting thing, right? And they probably misunderstand it as well, right? We probably misunderstand it as well, right? Because we haven't played it for hundreds of hours, right? Like I'm sure you would see different. Like, you would think about this swap thing differently if you played the game for hundreds of hours. Just like we talked about the final fight, where like the game changes if you get better, right? And so I think it's very like immediate thing that they can be like, oh, I get it, I get what the game is about, but they don't get it at all. Just like with the other shmups, it's just that they have something that they can think that they get immediately, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of the thing you said about your Counter-Strike example, where like, oh, it's about smokes or whatever, right? That's all the game is about, right? And this is the same thing, where people can say, oh, it's about this swap thingy, right? And it's like, I'm sure someone that's good at it looks at it in a very different way, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I think we went a bit off topic there for a while, but still interesting to talk about. But yeah, I think we've covered everything we wanted to talk about, right?
Otherwise, I guess we'll have to save it for the future episode, I guess.
Yes. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, dislike, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. And of course, once again, shout out DL or 1C or however you say your name for this suggestion. It was an interesting one. And if you have more suggestions, anyone, leave them in the comments, because we're running out of ideas. No, we're not.
I mean, we can always come up with ideas, but like, if you have more interesting things than we have as ideas.
Exactly. So we don't end up talking about the same things.
Because like, we like talking about the same stuff over and over again. So you'll get that unless, like, if you don't have any...
This is a threat.
No, it's not.
No.
I mean, maybe other people like listening to the same thing over and over again as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, thanks you for listening. No, that's not how you say it.
You
thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Yes. Goodbye.
Bye bye.